Don't let your visions and dreams die. Don't allow others to cause them to die. Don't even allow yourself to cause them to die. Listen, the promise is still good. There's no expiration date to his word or his promise. You've got to work while you wait on the transition and the manifestation of what is to come.
There is something special inside you.
Welcome to GNG Podcast with your host, speaker, best-selling author, Chaz Jackson.
Yo, what's going on, kings and queens? It's your boy Chaz Jackson coming back to you once again, representing GNG, Gifting a Gift. You know what we say on this podcast. You are gifted differently to make a difference. There is a dream hidden inside of each and every one of you, and this podcast is designed to help you unleash that potential, unleash that dream, unleash those God-given gifts for the rest of this world can live harmoniously and loving through your giftedness. And I have an amazing giant on this episode, ready to shine his light. Dr. Eric Holmes is in the building. Are you ready to get it, sir?
I am, Chaz. Listen, I'm ready to flow, move, and just talk, dialogue, and just chime in with the listeners.
I love it. King Eric's in the building, and the audience is so eager to learn more about you, what you're doing. You're doing some phenomenal things in your lane of giftedness, being a speaker, author, teacher, educator in the faith, man of faith. The Lord's doing some amazing things through you. The audiences want to know, where did all that start from? Can you share your story with the audience and how you got to where you are?
First of all, we were all born with purpose. And not only that, whatever God has already had for us was already in the inside of us. And so originally from Harrisburg, PA, moving to Maryland, going to school there, growing up there, going to school, going to college, and, moving to Maryland. Then that purpose really started to unfold, but it was already in me, from the womb, from the youth, and so it's just when you grow and mature, now it fully comes when you really tap into the purpose and understanding it and defining it and then being able to walk in it to fulfill it. And so now, as I have come to understand it and what purpose is, and what my purpose is now being able to walk in it to fulfill that God-given purpose that God has given me. And so, through life, learning, maturity, transitions, ups, downs, all of that, you've come to the point of where you are, yet to where you're going. And so, it came with all of that, failure, success, all of the above. Or as Paul would declare in Romans 8, all of this is working together. And so the good, the bad, the indifferent. And so it brought me right to this point of where I am. But it came through transition. It came through, the things, circumstances, situations, and all of that. So, and that's where I am right now today, of where I'm going,
Thank you so much for diving deeper into how you got to where you are today. I love how you reference Paul in Romans, and I love what he says in First Thessalonians, where to give thanks for all circumstances, because it is your will through God, through his son, Jesus. And gosh, I'm so happy that you had the courage to keep pushing forward, the resilience, the perseverance when life threw haymakers at you, and it might have even knocked you down, but you got back up and kept thriving and doing what God's called you to do, to impact and influence all the lives that you have up to this point, and so many more to come. Even the listeners right now that's just tuning in, you're shining your light today. So I just want to say thank you for all that you do, and you answering the call, and this thriving to be the greater version of yourself. Thank you. And also, I want you to kind of dive into your book. So I know your latest book is The Power of the Seed. And when you hear that, Dr. Eric Holmes, what does that mean to you when you hear those words?
One of the things is, and it's so amazing because I was leaving church Sunday. My pastor, we just had like crazy church at Bethel, which we have the greatest church on this side of Jordan. Y'all, you have in the Baltimore area, Bethel Temple, 3019 West Rogers Avenue, Bishop Richard Pender. But listen, so one of my awesome, amazing big sisters, friend, Bishop Liza said, when you get out of service, you know, she's connected to our church as well. She's in Atlanta. And so she says, listen to the message. She pastors Life Enrichment Ministries in Atlanta. So I stopped at the gas station. So I said, okay, clicked on it. And she began her message. She preached the power of the seed. I said, wow. So after listening to that, I get another message of a young lady who I met, who've been following me on social media at the evening service. So she says, listen, oh my gosh, I finally get to meet you. She said, I'm doing something Friday, the power to see what I would be honored if, with your permission, to do some of the excerpts from the book. But if you could come on, that would be great, which worked out perfect because the time she's doing it is at 9. So I'm able to come on. And I say all that, there is power in the seed. I do a master class, and I have a workbook and a worksheet that I teach from with the power of the seed. But when you begin to think about it, Christ being the ultimate seed for us, but knowing everything starts with the seed, Chaz, everything, listener, starts with the seed, but your seed has power, and there's power in the seed. And I'm gonna lift this up real quick because a patient of mine gave me this in my vision board. So this little mustard seed, how small it is. And it was years ago, about 10, 12 years ago, a patient gave me that, not knowing it would be on my vision board, but yet it would tie into my book. So the smallest seed, yet it becomes an orchard. It becomes how large it is that even the birds can perch under the shade, but how powerful, and knowing how powerful the seed is. And everything starts with the seed, but from the agriculture and from the natural and the spiritual, when I begin to think about the power of the seed. And so I studied the laws of the harvest. I studied agriculture. I studied harvest, seed time, and all of that for my Jewish history, for my doctoral program. And so when I begin to think about the farmer, how the whole process before he seeds, sow, and plant, he's got to go through process and preparation. He's got to get the ground ready before he can even seed, plant, or sow anything. And that's the importance. You got to be making sure that you go through the process and preparation. You got to making sure the ground is ready. So when you do plant, when you do seed, now here it is. That starts the process, but yet and still the middle process is the most critical, because now he's got to water, he's got to nurture it. And so from the spiritual aspect, we as believers, we see so, and now we're looking for a harvest. But there's process, there's preparation. Now the seed does have power, but how you plant it, where it's sown. And that's why it says, that's why we got to be careful where we're seeding, where we're sowing. Because every ground is not good ground. Even the Bible references the parable of the sower. So you got to know it's powerful. Even when when the master gave out the talents, 5, 2, and 1. You got to understand, that's why you got to do something with it. You can't just bury it. But now you got to do something with it. It has power. It produces. It's the rule of reciprocity. And so when the seed germinates through the underground process to get to the set time and season, it produces that which has been sown. But here it is. It's the timing and season, because that might not be the year that the harvest comes. So what we have to do, the farmer, he starts all over again. Ooh. But knowing he got a harvest coming. Because he's planted, he's seeded, he's the process, the preparation, he's watered, he's nurtured it. And so as it germinates, it's powerful, because guess what? That seed could come maybe 5 years later, but it's powerful because it produces something that was planted 5 years. But now look at what it produces 5 years later.
Yes, and it had to get those necessary roots in order to support itself, but it comes from that nurturing, that watering. Thank you so much for painting that picture. I definitely love your enthusiasm and the passion behind it as well. I know this is something, whoever's listening, you got to check out that book, The Power of the Seed, definitely on my list. And this podcast is built, King Eric, on providing tips and techniques for young men as they strive to grow in personal development and leadership. Is there one tip or technique that comes to mind outside of the amazing value that you've been giving for that young man to strive to bring fruit out of the seed that the Lord has called them to plant? What comes to mind?
One of the things is I tell people this, and I'm part of Black Speakers Network where we partner with Urban League. So I get to talk to a group of young people. And I just literally spoke to a group of 100 youth at Harrisburg University and then at Ryan Elementary. So we get them young. So we plant that seed in them now, but we pull what's in them out of them, but always understanding, get a mentor, get a coach, get somebody who can help mature and develop you through the process and preparation. And for yourself, always do the research. When I tell authors, you got to do your research. You don't just jump for somebody to say, I have a contract for you to sign. You've got to do your research. You got to do, if you're going to look for schools, what is it about this school, whether it's a job, what it is about this company? And I tell them, do your research. Do your homework, but have somebody that loves you enough that can impart to you, that can share, that can help coach you and guide you, but yet and still has your best interest at heart, but love you enough also to tell you the truth. Because now what we're dealing is people are not truthful or authentic or honest, and you can lead people when people's lives are in your hands or you're speaking in their life. So it can go one or two ways. And so even me as not only a certified life coach, but a mental health and behavioral health coach, I hear a lot of different things. So it is so very important in how we're helping development, helping, with career development, helping, where they're trying to go in life. And so we have to be careful and mindful of what we're sharing. And so give them those great tips that help them. And then in the development. But here's the thing. Never rush the process.
Whoa, hold on. You got to say that one more time. That
Never rush the process.
Man, that's so deep right there. And that's so
it is. You know why, Chaz? Because here it is. In this book, The Power of the Sea, it's an illustration about the microwave. It's an illustration about the turtle and the rabbit. It wasn't how fast he was going. The turtle just kept on going. So he crossed the finish line. He stayed in his lane. He stayed focused. Now, here's the thing. Everything can't go in a microwave. We're trying to microwave everything. We're trying to rush the process. If you're going to fully be developed, even the scripture tells us, listen, when we come through, we're coming through like pure gold. I can't rush the process because if I take this gold diamond ring out of the fire too soon, guess what? All the impurities does not come out. It's not going to be pure gold. And so we're trying to rush the process. You know how they tell it, oh, you don't want to get grown too soon, and we're rushing it. And when we get grown, looking at all these bills, this, that, and the other, we wish we were younger. And so here it is. You cannot rush the process. You've got to endure the process, or the late Apostle Evans, my late pastor, would say, don't despise the process. You've got to go through the process. Seed develops. It goes through the process. It goes through the underground process, but it is at the set time and season. From the caterpillar to the butterfly, it is a process. You can't rush it. And we're all in a rush. We're in a hurry yet to get to the stop sign, and you got to stop.
Man, that is so true. And research shows two of the major things that we try to rush but unable to is building relationships and finding true purpose. And those are two things that cannot be microwaved. Cultivating a genuine relationship takes time. Finding what God's calling you to do in your area of giftedness takes time. So really good stuff there, Dr. E. Can you share? So there's someone's listening right now, and they're like, I want to get more in front of Dr. Eric Holmes' work. I want to support him. I want to know how I could be praying for him. Is there any way you can share what some other endeavors that you have going on, continuing after this podcast moving into 2023? Also, share some things on, how we can be supporting you on that genre as well. So, and your contact
one of the things is, they can always reach me on all the social media, whether it's Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, the Eric Holmes or Eric Holmes. You can reach me on all of the social media outlets, but also my books are on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, or message me. I love signing books and mailing them out. And even for, I have a coaching service called the Power of Influence Coaching Service. And the thing about it is being able to help someone from A to Z so they don't get stuck in the middle. And so the thing about it is you can follow me. We can dialogue. You know, I love meeting people, but being able to help people. And when you talked about relationships, one of the things I always say, you've got to build solid relationships. If, like the scripture said, he came to serve. If we forget that we're a servant, if you serve, you won't have to ask. That's from one of my mentors, Miss Dr. Cheryl Palot. If you serve, you won't have to ask. The scripture says in Proverbs, a man's gift will make room. He will put you before great men. Don't try to rush the process. Don't try to go ahead. I tell people, here's one of my favorite mottos: let God be God and let the word do the work. If you do it that way, if you follow the word, if you follow the principle, if you follow the blueprint, guess what? Even if you made a detour and follow the signs, it'll get you back to the right road.
Man, I'm telling you, off the top rope with the elbow, Randy Savage right there. That was really good stuff right there. You got me fired up, man. I'm ready to run through a wall. And for the listeners, Dr. Holmes, is there any last words of encouragement that you would like to share with them on striving to become a greater version of themselves? What else comes to mind? What the Lord laying on your heart?
You've got one of the books I wrote is called How to Handle Patience and Endurance. You got to learn to work the lane. God said, work the lane you've been given. Stay in the lane, stay focused and determined. But one of the things I say to a lot of people is don't let your visions and dreams die. Don't allow others to cause them to die. Don't even allow yourself to cause them to die. Listen, the promise is still good. There's no expiration date to his word or his promise. You've got to work while you wait on the transition and the manifestation of what is to come. So while I have a t-shirt line that says work the vision and build the brand, you got to work and build and work, but never listen. Don't get so where if it doesn't seem like it's not moving or it's not coming. My one book, my next season is due. So you got to go through the seasons and you cannot skip seasons. You've got to endure the season that you're in to get to the next. And so just endure the process, endure what you have, go through the process and preparation because it'll lead you to the promise. And so with that being said, continue to push, press, and pursue purpose to connect with destiny. Listen, we all have purpose. We were all born with purpose. But once you tap into it, understand it, define it, you'll be able to walk into it. So, and never, with these last things here, never compare your success to someone else. You don't know the story. You don't know what they endure. You don't know what it costs to keep it, to maintain it, or what it costs to get it. What God has called you to do, whatever your purpose, whatever your gifting, as Paul said, be content. Bless him that the privilege that he's given, that you now understand and know it. But listen, we are all uniquely made in the image of him. We are all different. We are all unique. So work the vision that he's given you, the dreams, the ideals, the creativity. And understand, don't compare it with somebody else because you don't know the process and you may not be able to handle what they had to go through to get to what they have, yet you don't know what it costs to keep it.
Man, so much value there. Please drop in the comments what application point that Dr. Holmes has shared on GNG podcast today. We want to hear from you. I just want to personally say thank you so much for blessing us once again with your time, your effort, your consistency, blessing us with the clarity through your story and sharing the thing that you're passionate about, and also the consistency that it takes to get to the level that you're at and where God's calling you to go to here in the future. So we've definitely been blessed. Dr. Holmes, with you coming on this show with us today. And God, this has been such a fruitful moment. And I took a lot. I'm going back. I'm listening to the replay.
I so appreciate it, man. You know, and here's the thing, and I know we're getting ready to close out, but the timing and season, even with the adjustment and flexible in life, you're going to have to be flexible. You're going to have to adjust, but consistency, commitment, dedication, determination. And so even when you have to make adjustments, it's all still in the timing and season because God is still always on schedule. As my first lady, Dr. Pender, would say, God pencils our day in. Now we may got planners, we may got phones, we may got agendas, but guess what? he pencils it in, because this was originally at one time, he shifted and changed. Now it's at a different time. So it was already penciled in eternity, just manifested in the earth realm. So when things shift and change, don't get frustrated. Just know how to take that pivotal moment, shift your perspective and your mind. And you've got to learn to shift your posture and your perspective to see the greater outcome.
Such gold, such gold. So many gems there. God, I cannot wait to hear what you guys are taking and taking the application point. I encourage you to take at least one, to help you become a stronger version of yourselves. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to stay up with GNG. Hey,
Yeah.
you know, this has been some value given today. So go ahead, share this out on your social media platforms. Get as many people in front of this episode who you feel is going to be able to take from this amazing conversation with Dr. Eric Holmes. And we truly appreciate your support up to this point. And I want you to do two things for me, family. Keep that crown on your heart. And remember this. We are God's echo. Keep shining your light and serving others. We love you. Peace.
Thank you for listening to GNG Podcast. Remember, you are gifted differently to make a difference. Please visit ChazJacksonSpeaks.org and let's continue to grow together. God bless.